it's KK and welcome back to the KK Show. Since y'all still thirsty, I got some more tea for y'all because this is part 2 to my Love Island USA experience. And the tea, it's 100 degrees hotter, so let's get into it. I actually asked you guys to ask me some questions on my Instagram regarding my Love Island experience, and y'all did that. Y'all understood the assignment, but y'all was on my ass, so we're gonna get into it. But first, I want to do a disclaimer that this video is just my truth, my opinions, my perspective, my experience. So it's no hate, no shade, no tea to any of the other cast members, to anybody mentioned. Like, it's definitely all love. I want to shout out Love Island, shout out ITV, and shout out Peacock because I'm so grateful for the experience. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I really enjoyed the journey, even though I went through some shit, so shout out. Okay, so the first question is rate your overall experience. So if I was gonna rate the experience, I think I'd rate it like a 7. A steady 7, just because I'm very thankful for the experience overall. I feel like it definitely changed my life in the best way. I went through a lot of emotional turmoil, and y'all got to see that. Like, who goes through their biggest heartbreak on national television? Me. But at the end of the day, like, it was a fun experience. Like, I really do miss being in the villa because it was just fun, you know? Like, you didn't have to worry about nothing. You didn't have to worry about what you was gonna eat, paying bills, nothing but being on that island, waking up every day, dressing up, being a bad bitch, and some emotion. Like, it felt like stress when I was in there, but like looking back on it, I'm like, dang, I was really living the life. Even though I went through a lot on the show, I definitely feel like it forced me to heal some things that I didn't know I needed to heal from. Anything that I can grow from is a positive experience to me. Are you open to more TV? Definitely. I really like reality TV because it allows me to showcase me, who I am, and you know, it kind of made me a star. But you also want to expand into more TV, like some acting, some modeling, some commercial work. Like, I want to get more into it. It opened a door for, like, you know, the media world for me, and I would just like for it to keep growing. Is Love Island scripted? Love Island is not scripted. The producers be producing, but no, there's no scripts. You're not reading off of anything. They don't tell you what to say. You might be prompted to go in a specific direction about things, but no, it's not scripted. The hardest part of Love Island, the hardest part of being on Love Island was definitely just being away from my family. Like, not knowing what day it was, not being able to contact the outside world. You just did not know what was going on. Like, America could have been blown up and I didn't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't have any contact. That definitely made me a little bit anxious. I think another part about Love Island is that it's just not normal. You're in this villa with all these people that you don't know, and you know, you're coupled up, you're having to sleep with all these people, you're having to make friendships and connections with these people because that's all you know. But that's not something you would do in the real world. In the real world, you're not gonna become best friends with 5 girls at one time forcefully. And it's not like they force you to be friends, but you know, you're living together. You meet them today, you're now living together. So, you know, it just makes sense to do that. But in the real world, that's not how things go. And even like with the connections and the relationships and the couples and stuff, it's just different from the real world. So it was really hard for me to navigate, like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Because in the real world, would I do that? No, but this ain't the real world type shit. Okay, now we're gonna, here comes the good questions. Here comes the good questions. Okay, so what was my first impression of Keenan? Y'all saw it. I was like, ooh, like my heart had skipped a beat, but it was just a feeling of like, yeah, that's your guy. So my first impression of him was like, dang. And then whenever I skedaddled over to his heart, it was magical. Like, it was, y'all seen it, it was fireworks. And I would say that before that moment, I was so nervous. Like, when I met all the girls, it was cool, but for the guys to come out, I was so nervous because I kept thinking like, dang, I'm gonna have to sleep with somebody. And like, I don't know, I was just super like in my head about who I was gonna have to sleep with. Was I gonna be comfortable? And you know, I just felt like it was gonna be weird. But once I met Keenan, like, he just made me feel so comfortable. Like, the vibes just felt supernatural. So was it weird sleeping in the room with everyone? No. Like, I definitely expected it to be weird, but one thing about me, I'm a sleepyhead, right? It don't take nothing for me to go to sleep. If you let me sit here for 5 minutes, I will be knocked out in 4 minutes. Like, and that's how I was in the villa. Like, once I'm asleep, I'm asleep. Like, I be sleep, I be knocked. Me and Destiny was always the last 2 people to get in bed, so maybe for other people it's uncomfortable because they had to wait for us to come to bed before we could do like lights out. Like, everybody got to be in the bed before they turn the lights off. So nobody could really just go to sleep until everybody was in the room. But I was always one of the last people in the room. So as soon as I hit the pillow, I could go to sleep. Any regrets? Honestly, there's not a lot of regrets that I have. And I say that and I'm gonna stand on that because who KK was at that time versus who KK is today, same person, but I've grown a lot. Like, I will acknowledge that I've grown so much and I may not have felt the same way about things as I did then now. Like, if I did that experience over again right now starting today, it just wouldn't have went the same way, to be honest. But you know, one thing I would have changed was right before Casa Amor, when Imani had came in and Keenan was getting to know Imani and I was like trying to get to know Mike. One thing I really wanted, like, I felt like I was ready to be closed off. And yes, I've watched the show, so I know that Keenan was planning to close things off with me before they shipped us off to Casa Amor. But so he wishes he had gotten to do that. I wish that I would have had the chance to have a conversation with him and give him an ultimatum. Like, I literally would have told him like, hey, we're closing off or it's done. That's what I was feeling like. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to close things off. I was over him getting to know every girl and wasn't early days anymore. I felt like, you know, okay, like, either you like me or you don't. Pick me or don't. Call me a pick me if you want to, but that was my attitude. Pick me or don't. Also, another thing, I wish I had more options at Casa because I really did want to bring somebody back from Casa Amor. Keenan and I had talked about, you know, going to Casa Amor beforehand, but I remember saying like, oh, if you bring somebody back from Casa Amor, it's wraps, you'll never talk to me again. And he told me the same thing too. He was like, yeah, if you bring somebody back, then cool. Like, because we just had the understanding that if you bring somebody back from Casa, that means that connection was better, right? And that's what we agreed on. And that's where we also talked about our boundaries of sleeping in the bed, kissing outside of challenges, being respectful, which we'll get into that in a minute. But I really did want to bring somebody back from Casa. I just didn't make any connections that were good enough to do that. That's pretty much it for my regret. Is texture connection a real thing? Okay, so texture connection is kind of just like the Love Island lingo, you know, like that's kind of what you're in the villa to do, right? You make the connections and then you test the connections, and once the connection you feel like is strong, is you can stand 10 toes on it, you progress, you move on, you close off. Those aren't like set rules. It's just like, you know, it's the Love Island culture, so that's just what you do. Why did you stick by Keenan when he clearly didn't want to stick by you? Y'all be on my ass. Okay, so basically it was just a matter of letting him trust his process and then me trusting mine. I feel like this is something y'all didn't see, but since day one, since the beginning, every single day, Keenan was reassuring me of things, and he was very good with communicating what he wanted to do and how he wanted to do it, right? So from day one, which he stood by this his whole journey throughout the villa, it was very important for him to have the connection. His way of doing that was getting to know other girls, you know, seeing if their connection was better than ours. And our connection was just so like in the beginning that I feel like it made him even more like stand on it. Like, yeah, I gotta test it because this is just too good to be true. This is me talking. This is not what he said. So I'm not trying to tell his story, but from what I understand, he came in with the idea that he was gonna get to know several people, and whoever he liked the most, whoever he had the best connection with was, you know, who he would then start to move forward with. But he met me on the first day and we had such a powerful connection on the first day, so that kind of messed up the plan for him. So then it was a matter of, I have to test the connection. And you know, that was his process, and he was so reassuring every single day to me. He kept me in the loop. He communicated that yes, I need to get to know other people so that I can make sure that it's you. Which in the real world, fuck that. But I'm thinking, this is Love Island, that is what you're supposed to do, right? And in the real world, some people do that. When people are dating, you're probably dating more than one person at a time. And I don't mean girlfriend, boyfriend, I don't mean committed relationships. I'm saying like if you're single, which we were, you probably texting and talking and hanging out with more than one person at a time, right? Now the next question is, why didn't you get to know anyone else? That's a good question. So it wasn't that I didn't want to get to know anybody else. And honestly, I felt like I was getting to know other people. I was in the villa, there were other men there, right? So even though I wasn't coupled up with them, or, you know, I wasn't pursuing anybody romantically, I was getting to know every single guy in that villa, right? Because we all hang out. I had my one-on-one relationships with everyone. And so, you know, I got really close with Leo. I got really close with Marco. Me and Bergie were pretty cool. Me and Victor were pretty cool. Like, I got to know the guys, right? And I just didn't feel like any of the guys were right for me to pursue getting to know them on another level. And then Mike came in. I tried with Mike. I really was trying. I was really forcing it with Mike, to be honest. Like, watching it back, and I think it would have been fine. Like, I did have an interest in Mike, but I don't think Mike was too interested in me, to be honest. He wasn't giving me that energy back, which is okay. Me and Mike are cool as hell now. Like, we're really good friends. But it wasn't that I didn't try to get to know anyone else. Did Hideaway make you stay with Keenan? No. A lot of people just assume that, oh, because I had sex with him in the Hideaway on TV, I felt like, oh, I can't talk to anybody else. That really wasn't the case. But I was shocked as hell when he wanted to get to know Emily the same day. Like, the same day we came out the Hideaway, he was like, yeah, I gotta get to know her. And yeah, that really threw me off. You threw me off. Oh, you threw me off. What guy were you the closest with other than Keenan, and what girl? Okay, so when it came to, you know, having a guy friend, Marco and Leo were definitely both there for me. Me and Marco were really close in the beginning, and then me and Leo were close the whole time. And me and Leo are still close right now, but other than Keenan, those are the guys that I was closest with in the villa. What girl? I'd have to say Destiny. I feel like in the beginning, Destiny was very, like, closed off with her energy. She was just very private. Like, me leaving and stuff, I was definitely really close with Destiny. What happened to you and Hannah? Y'all seem close on the show. Okay, first of all, I just want to say that literally today was my first time talking to Hannah outside of the villa. And her and Marco joined my live. It was really nice. Like, it was really refreshing. I gave her my number on Instagram and stuff, but we hadn't talked since then, like since leaving the villa up until today. And I will tell my experience, my story, my perspective on that, but it's really no hate, no shade. So basically, I think that the show made it look like me and Hannah were best friends tied at the hip. I will say me and Hannah had a pretty good relationship. We were definitely here, is what I'll say. Me and Hannah were here. I feel like we were alike in a lot of ways, like mentally, and I feel like we have a lot of similar experiences. And, you know, that was my girl. It really was my girl. But we were not best friends. And if you ask her, I feel like she might agree with that, because she was best friends with Anna. Now, you've seen how she was with Anna. Me and her weren't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we were close, but she was definitely closer to other people, and I was definitely closer to other people than we were close with each other. Nonetheless, I don't want to take away from the relationship that we did have, because we did have a really good relationship, and she was somebody who I felt like I could talk to, and mentally, like, we was here. But y'all want to know what happened? First of all, there was never any beef. There was never any, like, altercation, any, like, bumping heads. We were never not friends. It never gave that. But I will say that I think where we kind of stopped being close is the night of the recoupling after Casa Amor. I think that's because, okay, let me tell y'all what happened. During the night of Casa Amor recoupling, whenever me and Keenan had our first conversation at the fire pit, and I felt disrespected, so I got up and walked away. I was walking to the dressing room, but I ended up walking into Hannah and Marco. We kind of stepped outside the yellow doors, and they were like, what's wrong? And I started to tell them, like, yeah, he disrespectful. Like, I just don't want to talk if he gonna be disrespectful, da-da-da-da-da-da. Then here comes Keenan through the yellow doors, like, hey, can I talk to you? And his energy was different. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give him a chance to talk to me, right? So I left with Keenan, right? I was talking to Hannah and Marco. I left talking to Hannah and Marco to go talk to Keenan, right? Well, Hannah and Marco come shortly after to meet me and Keenan, and they were like, KK, we need you. Like, we need to talk to you right now. Like, they were basically trying to pull me away from Keenan. And, you know, I kind of was just like, can I get a minute? But I feel like they were coming on with good intentions to like save me from the conversation or like help me, you know what I'm saying? But just in the moment, I wanted to have that conversation, and I don't really feel like I needed help, but I felt like they had good intentions on helping me, you know, because at the end of the day, I am a grown person. Like, I can, if I decide to have this conversation, I've decided to have this conversation. He isn't forcing me to have the conversation. Now, Kenan, on the other hand, he did not like that at all, and you know, he started to, I forgot what he said. He was talking crazy to Hannah, and she was like, "Don't talk to me like that, Kenan." And I was like, "Please don't disrespect her." Like, I told him straight up, do not disrespect her. We had a whole conversation about it. Straight up told him, don't disrespect her. You need to apologize to her first and foremost, because you're being disrespectful. And you know, if you're gonna, don't disrespect my friends. If you're gonna talk to me, you gotta apologize to her. And he agreed. So I did not allow Kenan to disrespect my friend. But I think the disconnect happened because I never did go tell Hannah. Like, Hannah doesn't know that I didn't allow him to do that. She doesn't know that I stood up for her in that moment, right? So to her, it probably just looks like I just allowed this man to disrespect her. So what I should have done, I should have went to her and been like, "Hannah, I'm so sorry that Kenan disrespected you. Like, I don't stand for that. I didn't allow it. I did tell him to apologize." You know what I'm saying? So, and he actually did apologize, but she might not know that I instructed him to do that, or that, you know, I stood up for her. After that, we didn't talk much. Like, we didn't have any one-on-one conversations from what I can remember. And I was feeling like it was because I had, you know, agreed to hear Kenan out, and, you know, essentially I was taking him back. Like, I was in the process of taking him back, and I felt like she just didn't like that, which rightfully so. Hannah was definitely there for me at my lowest point. Like, she definitely was in my ear telling me, you know, that I deserve better, and, you know, essentially showing that she wanted the best for me. I feel like she saw something in me that I wasn't even seeing in myself at the time, which I'm so grateful for. I was telling her earlier about, like, she used to always tell me, "She can't hold your panties, like, you know who you are." And she would always tell me that her dad would tell her, like, "She can't hold your panties." And so she always told me that, and that's something that's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life. Like, that bitch can't hold my panties. I felt a disconnect from Hannah because, I'm gonna be honest, I felt like she didn't want to be my friend no more because I was taking Kenan back. And don't get me wrong, I don't think any of the girls other than Destiny really supported my decision in taking Kenan back. I think the difference is, like, for example, Cassie. I'm gonna forever rock with Cassie because she didn't agree with me, but she still showed love and support. Like, Cassie straight up told me, "KK, I think you deserve better. I wish you wouldn't give him another chance. I really don't want you to do that. But you're my friend and I love you, so I'm gonna support you, and I'm gonna love you, and I'm gonna stick beside you." She straight up looked me in my eyes and told me that she did not agree with my actions. She did not think it was the right thing to do, but she was still gonna be by my side. And that definitely made a difference between me and some of the other girls who just distance themselves, which is fine. Like, I don't feel like my friends have to agree with me at all, and I don't feel like they have to support me. And if they don't want to be my friend because of that, that's fine too. But that's kind of why I never took the initiative to reach out to Hannah after leaving the show, was because I felt like she washed her hands with me after I took Kenan back. And just some of the things that a lot of the girls were saying made me really uncomfortable. Like, watching the show back, I was like, wow, like, y'all really talking shit. Like, y'all really talking y'all shit. Okay, that's how y'all really feel? Okay. But like I said, I did talk to Hannah and Marco both on TikTok Live today, and that was a good experience. So I DM'd her my number, and, you know, maybe we can have a conversation about it. Were you friends with the girls Kenan got to know? For example, Cassie, Emily, Imani, and Naja. Cassie, yes. I feel like me and Cassie, we were close from the first moment we met each other. Like, we just clicked. She's a Capricorn, I'm a Libra. I usually do click with Capricorn women. But we just clicked. Like, we were just here, right? But then, you know, whenever she was getting to know Kenan, she really kind of threw me off. She really kind of threw me off because I wasn't expecting it. Like, I did feel blindsided, but it was never beef with her. It was never, "I'm not your friend anymore" type of vibes. I just gave myself distance, but we eventually got back on track. That we really established a close friendship during Casa Amor and, like, after that, because we just really like got to know each other on a deeper level, and we were there for each other. Like, I feel like when she needed a friend and when I needed a friend, we were there. Emily, yeah, see, here's the thing about Emily. Me and Emily weren't that close in the villa, to be honest. We just didn't get a chance to get that close before she left. But I feel like Emily, when she came in, she really wanted to be the big bad dog, the big bombshell. She wanted to snatch everybody's man. But then she got in there and she met everybody and she was like, y'all are too nice. She was like, y'all are too nice, right? Like, and then she just ended up being friends with everybody. So yeah, we was friends. We just didn't get a chance to get close. But after the villa, we definitely got close. Like, she was in Houston and I was in Houston, so we hung out a lot, and I still talk to her. I texted her like yesterday. Yeah, me and Amani did become friends. Like, me and Amani never had any, like, whenever I first met her, which I met her on the date when I went on a date with Mike and she went on a date with Bergie, and I just remember seeing her and I was like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. I just remember that, and I told her and she told me that I was beautiful too. And you know, like, I wouldn't say we hit it off as friends in the beginning, especially because, you know, eventually she did start to get to know Keenan, but it was never any, it was always cordial. Like, she definitely asked me, like, if it was cool for her to pull Keenan for a chat, and of course I told her yeah. Like, she was always very respectful with it, and we was always cool. But then came Casa Amor, and we bonded. Like, I got to know Imani and Imani got to know me. We like had some deep conversations, we shared some stuff, like, you know what I'm saying? We got a chance to bond, and that's what I'll say, we became friends. Naja, I actually never met Naja. Yeah, I've never met her. I only seen her one time, and that was during the recoupling at Casa Amor. So explain Casa Amor recoupling and why you didn't bring anyone back. And then I'm gonna follow up with the next question, which is, why did you fake your connection with Brandon? Okay, let's get into it. So, mind you, by this day, I've seen what Keenan's been doing, right? Because I got the video. So I'm really pissed off. Like, I went through my little phases. I was like, okay, I'm sad. By this moment, I'm mad. And really, in my mind, I was thinking that he was gonna bring her back. But thinking, why would you do this, that, and the third just to send her home? Like, I didn't feel like those were things you just do with somebody if you didn't have a real connection. So to me, I'm thinking, y'all connection gotta be better than ours. Like, y'all doing all that, right? So first of all, when I walk in, I'm pissed because I'm like, I'm riled up. The producers done riled me up. We was playing Queen Naja and Janae Aiko in the freaking van on the way from Casa back to the villa. Like, I'm hyped. I'm like, you know, that was my energy. And I'm really thinking I'm about to walk in and see him coupled up with somebody else. I walk in, I see that he's single. So now really I'm confused. And now I'm like, what's going on? I'm confused, I'm mad, I'm sad. That's kind of how that went. And then I felt like, you know, during my speech or whatever, I could just see how uncomfortable he was feeling. And one thing about me and him, whatever he feel, I be feeling it too. Like, if he's sad and he don't tell me and I hug him, I can just know he's sad, and now I'm sad. And so in that moment, he was feeling so like vulnerable and embarrassed, and then I started to feel so vulnerable and embarrassed. Like, it's actually very toxic how I just be feeling all his damn emotions. So like, I could feel that he was just super uncomfortable, and I think that's why I started to like calm down a little bit and like try to relax the mood a little bit, because it was so intense. That time was so intense. And I don't think that, like with the Sarah Hyland stuff, I don't think that he was trying to be disrespectful to Sarah at all in that moment. I just think that he felt attacked. Like, he was feeling attacked and embarrassed, and that's why it came out so disrespectful. That's just what I think. That's not my story to tell. Yeah, that's why I was like, ugh, he looked good, I guess. Like, I was just trying to, like, you know, lighten the mood a little bit. But yeah, after the recoupling, like, I did come back full intentions of being single. Like, I didn't sleep in a bed with him that night, and I was like, it's raps, you know. I did feel like it was raps. And then especially after the first conversation we had when he was disrespecting me a little bit, he was playing in my face. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. But I think secretly, like, I really wanted to hear him out, you know? Like, I had on this big bad wolf persona, like, fuck him. But in actuality, I wanted to hear him out. Like, I really wanted to hear what he had to say. Like, you know? I did not fake my connection with Brandon. Let's get into it. So basically, the first night that we got to Casa Amor, Brandon immediately was like, we're gonna be great friends. He completely friend zoned me before I even got to know him at all. Didn't even know his name, but he was like, we're gonna be great friends. Instantly started to feel a friendship with him. When you're getting to know someone romantically versus friendly, the vibes are different, right? The vibes are a little bit more comforting when it's friendly, because you don't have all the pressure, that intensity in the conversations of like getting to know somebody romantically. It's more cool, calm, and collect. So me and Brandon kind of established this friendship, and it was cool, calm, and collect. And then the next day, he pulls me and he's like, yeah, he's like, sorry, I got nervous. I actually didn't want to be your friend. I actually want to get to know you. And by that point, we had already had a good conversation, a good friendly conversation, which the vibes was there. It caught me off guard for one thing, because I did want somebody to be like, hey, I'm pursuing you. I hadn't felt the, hey, I'm in here for you, I want you. You know what I'm saying? I wanted that, and nobody was giving me that energy really. So he was the first person to be like, hey, you, I actually want to get to know you. And so I was like, shit, okay. And you know, because we had already established that layer of friendship, that layer of comfort, like the conversation just got even better. So I was enjoying my conversations with Brandon a lot. So when we were playing the games and doing the challenges, it just felt super comfortable for me to kiss him. It made sense to me that he's the person that I'm talking to the most, so why would I not kiss him? I had one conversation with Eddie, which was really good, but I just honestly wasn't feeling it like that. But I did kiss Eddie in a couple of challenges. And I didn't talk to anybody else. Like, I hadn't had conversations with anybody else. Nobody else had pulled me for a chat. Like, nobody was on my body in Casa Amor. Like, I wish they would have brought somebody in for me. I just don't felt like they did that. So whatever, fast forward. It was cracking down time, you know, like we were gonna go back to the villa in a couple of days. Am I feeling Brandon like that or not? And essentially, like, we had another conversation, and I was kind of asking myself those questions, like, do you see this romantic? And you know when you having a conversation with somebody and you be like, ooh, I want to kiss you so bad, miss, and it just wasn't giving that. And I was thinking to myself, like, do I want to kiss him right now? And the answer was no. So that's how I knew it like wasn't romantic. And yeah, but I actually did have a conversation with Brandon and Eddie about coming back into the villa with me as a friend for support, like just to say I brought somebody back. I let them both know that, hey, this will be an opportunity for you to get into the villa and make a connection with somebody else, and then it'll just be support for me, so I can just have somebody walk in with it. Because like I said, I just knew Keena was gonna bring somebody back, so I just felt like I needed to have somebody on my arm too. Which in the end, last minute, I decided, no, I'm not gonna bring anybody back because that's fake. That's just not being true to me. Like, obviously, if I didn't make the connection, I don't need to be taking them into the villa, because this is Love Island, not Friendship Island. And that's ultimately why I didn't bring anybody back. Did you regret leaving the villa, and how did you feel after? No, I don't regret leaving the villa. I feel like the way that I left was pretty iconic, for one. But two, that's what I felt like doing in the moment. We did have conversations prior. Like, I think after Keenan was in the bottom 4 during the last dumping, we had conversations about, like, if one of us left, the other one was gonna follow, whether or not we were gonna do that or not. And you know, yeah. Then at this time, like, remember, I had took him back. We were working on things. I just knew that we were not gonna be able to thrive in this environment anymore. Like, even if he wouldn't have left, we were having talks about just leaving, like just quitting. Because I just didn't feel like we were gonna be able to thrive in that environment. Like, it just wasn't a good environment for us. It just wasn't. And also, I was ready to leave too in that moment, because I did not feel supported by my peers. I just wasn't comfortable anymore. I felt like everyone was judging me. I felt like I had just been through too much trauma on the show to keep going, to be honest. Like, I was missing home a lot, and my emotions just had went through so much, so I was just ready to fucking go. So no, I don't regret leaving. And honestly, to this day, I feel like our relationship did get so much better outside of the villa because we just don't have restrictions, and you know, we don't have producers around us producing. Like, I can do things how I would do them in the real world because we're in the real world type shit. How do you feel after watching the show? Okay, so I watched the show twice, and honestly, it's cringy. It's hard to watch. It's embarrassing. The time I watched it, I didn't pay a lot of attention to anything other than just me and Keenan. Like, I needed answers to a lot of things. I needed to see what was really happening. I needed to see what was really said. I had to see what was really going on. All of what was going on during Casa Amor. That's what I was focused on. I didn't like start on episode 1 and watch the whole thing through. Recently, and after, like, you know, getting better and healing, coming back from all the hate and stuff, like, I was in a better place mentally and emotionally, I watched it again, and immediately I could just tell how much I've grown since then. And I know it wasn't that long ago, but I've grown tremendously since then. At the end of the day, watching it the second time, fully understanding it, it definitely broke my heart for me. But at the same time, it forced me to heal from personal trauma that I have just within myself, you know. Do you think it's possible to find love and have a real long-term relationship on Love Island? Most definitely. I don't think it is something common. I think it's really weird and it's really rare. But India and Dami from the UK version, her and her boyfriend are so cute. Like, they're still together. I don't even know what season they were on, but her relationship seemed very healthy, and they're still together to this day. Some people from my season who are still together and, you know, really pursuing a real long-term relationship. And then me, I started a real relationship as well outside of the villa. So yeah, I do think it's possible. Who do you still talk to? The main people I talk to right now, Keenan obviously. I still talk to Destiny, Cassie, Leo, Mike, Emily, Kyle flew out to Houston for my birthday. So I don't talk to anybody, any of them, every single day. But maybe weekly basis, every 2, you know. Cool with everybody though. What are my favorite memories in the villa? Okay, so my favorite memories ever of the villa are dressing room. Like, getting ready with the girls, just waiting to see which guys were gonna bring what girls coffee, being in the dressing room, and like, the dressing room was always a vibe. Like, everybody's in there getting cute, we're all helping each other, we're all supporting each other, and you know, being bad bitches. Like, we all shared each other's clothes, helped each other with makeup and hair, and vibe. My second best memories were probably challenge days, because in a different environment and just, it'd be fun. I don't know if y'all remember the volcano challenge. Favorite challenge. It was so much fun, and it was just so funny, like, watching those guys try to get up that mountain, and they would slide down. Like, I don't care what nobody say. Harrison, Bergie, and Jonah, white men can't jump because they could not get up there. It was so funny. I know y'all seen it on TV, but it wasn't nothing like what it was in person. Like, it was actually hilarious. How was the food? Trash, dumpster juice, crazy sauce. It was nasty. Fiji is just not known for food, and I hated the food. I actually lost so much weight just because the food was gross. Like, if y'all seen, I was always snacking on some chips, some avocado toast, something, a sandwich, something, because I was not eating what they were feeding us. And it was actually making people sick, because Fiji actually has E. coli in their water. And if they were like washing the salad or washing the fruit, washing the food with the water, it was contaminating the food, and it was contaminating me, and it was making me have the shit. So I just stopped eating it. How'd you wear bikinis every day? Did no one get their periods? Yeah, we got our periods. Yeah, we wear bikinis every day. I mean, what do? You plug it up and move on. You might cut the string if necessary, but you plug that shit up and you go on about your day. Was the show heavily edited, and what was left out? Think about it. Yes, it's heavily edited, and not in a sense of that's not what happened, but in a sense that if me and Keenan are having a 2-hour-long conversation, you're seeing 3 minutes of it, you have to consider how much was edited out of that conversation, right? Like, you can't get everything on camera. It's a 1-hour show, and it's recording 24/7, so you're just not gonna get everything. Sometimes big things are left out for the sake of the narrative, for the sake of the plot, for the sake of the storyline. You know what I'm saying? So it might have been important to me, but clearly it wasn't important to the storyline. You see what I'm saying? Another thing that I feel like was left out was me and Destiny's relationship. I don't feel like it showed us to be close on the show much, but we were. Like, we were. And also, Destiny and Keenan were really close. Like, we had like a little throuple going on with our friendship. I also think that me and Keenan's relationship in the villa was very deep, and I think that, you know, it just seemed like, me watching it back anyway, it just seemed like all we did was like make out and flirt and tee, like that's the vibes, but that was not the vibes majority of the time. We had really deep conversations. We talked about, you know, how things would be outside of the villa. We talked about moving for each other. We talked about our future together. Hypothetically, of course, like we didn't know for sure if that was going to happen, but we did talk about what we wanted, what we were looking for, if we were a good match. That's what made me like him more, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't just, oh, I thought he's so cute. Like, no, I felt like we were connected and vibing on a deeper level, but it just didn't show that deeper level. It didn't show those deeper conversations. That makes sense why y'all feel like y'all feel. Another highly requested video I get is to recap on my transition from the villa to outside the villa and how life has been after that. I'm not quite ready to talk about that yet, but I will do a video on that one day. Okay, y'all, that's it. That's all the questions I have for today. I hope I answered all of them efficiently, but that's the end of this video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure y'all like this video for me because it helps a lot. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of my new uploads. Turn your notifications on because I'm about to become real consistent and it's about to get less Love Island and more KK show. So if you down for the ride of the KK show, subscribe. Okay, y'all, leave me some comments down below too. Like, let's chat in the comments. But I love you guys so much and I will see y'all next time. Bye.